Hi, my babies. Welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about Clinton Kane, the TikTok singer who posted one shady TikTok that destroyed his entire career. This is Clinton Kane. He's a 24-year-old Australian artist who blew up on TikTok when his song Chicken Tendies went viral.
I thought I caught a glimpse of me and you.
Clinton has had a relatively positive reputation online and is beloved by his fans who feel connected to his music and life story. Unfortunately for Clinton, all of that would change when he was exposed by his ex-girlfriend Brooke Schofield. Now, if you're not familiar with Brooke, she is one of the hosts on the canceled podcast with Tana Mojo. Brooke has opened up here and there about her and Clinton's relationship and dropped some hints to fans that made them question everything they knew about Clinton.
I found out yesterday that my boyfriend, who I have been, he just told me like very casually, like, oh, I'm actually 2 years younger than I said.
Whoa.
I'm like, what?
What?
But Brooke always seemed to not want to talk too negatively about Clinton because they were still friends and on pretty good terms.
Brooke's not ready to talk about it, and it's her story for the most part. You know, I can say things I was a part of and I've seen, but that's her truth and her story. And obviously his too, but I don't think he would know truth if it hit him in the face.
100%.
And she still chats with him.
That's what's the most fucked up, and she won't stop, and like that's whatever.
And I love Brooke. You know, I would literally die for her. I love her more than anything in the world. She's my best friend. But Brooke, it's like a funny bit to her, and I'm like, there is nothing funny about this. Please, motherfucking block him, girl. Like it stresses me out like no other.
Well, they were still friends until Clinton decided to throw some shade at Brooke. Clinton posted this TikTok with the caption, "When you've been over the relationship for 2 years, but she won't stop yapping." Fans automatically assumed he was talking about his former girlfriend, Brooke, and this is what started what some are referring to as the end of his career. Brooke responded to Clinton by posting a TikTok using his newest single and the caption, "The rage bait is working. Please stream this song. All proceeds go to his mom." Which had me gagged a little bit, I can't even lie, because if you don't know, Clinton's mother had passed away. Now, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, why are we poking fun at someone who lost their parent? That is below low. Well, be patient, my lovies, because this story gets absolutely insane. Brooke decided to share all the details about their relationship and the lies he told in a 14-part TikTok series.
Part 1. Who the fuck did I marry?
Brooke said that Clinton slid into her DMs asking her to go out. Once he found out that she lived in LA, he said that he would fly her out to Vegas where he lived so they could go on their first date. Now, at the time, Brooke was not really interested in him.
And he asks if I want to go to dinner. And I'm like, I'm looking at his profile and I don't know if I want to go to dinner.
But a little while after that, Clinton messaged her again and said that he was performing in LA and invited her to his show. Brooke agreed and ended up having a really good time. Brooke then says the day after meeting, they met up again when he invited her to go out with some of his friends. After attending his second show in LA, they ended up going to a club, and then after, the two of them separated from the group, and it was just the two of them at a diner.
Literally every single thing on the menu, and we sit there for like 4 hours and just talk, okay? And this is the point where he tells me about what had happened to him in the year prior, all right?
During that conversation, Clinton told Brooke that his mom, dad, and brother all passed away in the same year. Brooke said that that conversation entirely changed how she viewed Clinton.
Holy shit, first of all. And I feel like I completely changed my opinion about him because I'm like, at this point, I'm thinking he's just like this weirdo sliding into my DMs, and now he's very like human to me because I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe you could overcome something like that. Like that's insane.
After spending a few days together, going on dates and getting to know each other, Clinton tells Brooke he has COVID, and they end up isolating together in a hotel and then later moved into an Airbnb. At this point, they have been spending every moment together. There's no breaks. They are basically living together, and even when Brooke tries to create some distance and is saying, hey, I'm going to go home and just pick up some clothes, I have some things to do, Clinton automatically starts to act weird.
And this man is not allowing me to go home, okay? This was the first major red flag. Like if I had a morning where I was like, okay, like I want to go home and like get new clothes and shower and like just be a human and be alone for a second, he would immediately like shut down, like, why don't you want to be with me? Why would you want to go home? Can I come with you? Like, just very strange.
which is a huge red flag. If there's anyone that's new in your life and they are having a hard time separating themselves from you, they want to be a priority in your life right away, and they seem to even spiral the second that you mention creating some distance, run away. That is not healthy. And yes, I know we romanticize obsession and obsessed love. We want partners that are all about us and that want to spend every moment with us. But in reality, that is not the sign of someone that is actually healthy and wants to spend healthy time with you or have a healthy relationship with you. I personally like my man to be obsessed, but I want him to be obsessed with making sure that he's showing up in our relationship, making sure that he's doing his part, being thoughtful, being considerate. But all of that also includes spending time separately as individual people. I mean, I need my alone time. Hello. How else am I going to talk to myself for a few hours? Like, we have to have some important conversations over here, and I need you to leave. Anyways, Brooke says that after they spent a lot of time together, they ended up planning a trip, just the two of them. And on their way to this trip where they were going to be able to relax and go camping and just spend some quality time together, they ended up being pulled over by a police officer. Clinton then handed over his ID to the officer, and the officer proceeded to just read and kind of confirm some of the information that was on the ID.
And he says, you were born in 1999. And I am under the impression that my boyfriend is a year younger than me, okay? And this would make him like 4 years younger than me. I'm like, that's really strange. But we keep going, and I ask him about it, and he's like, oh, like, that's a fake ID. I got it mixed up. We got lucky.
Just to make it clear, this man told Brooke he was born in 1997, but his ID says he was born in 1999. And he says it's a fake ID. I mean, put aside what we mostly know fake IDs are used for, which is getting into bars and clubs when you're underage. What events or situations are you in that you need to be younger than you are? I don't know.
It's getting weird.
The two of them finally get to their destination, and the very next day, they get into their first major fight. While they are on this trip together, they're pretty isolated still, and it's just the two of them, and they're spending all of their time together. While they're having dinner, Brooke ends up checking her phone just to see if she had any new notifications or messages. Clinton then brings this up to her and makes it a really big deal because he says that he's triggered whenever someone is at dinner with him and just not giving him their undivided attention. Which, listen, I also think that it's rude when people are on their phones while you're at dinner or spending intentional time together. But if we have been together nonstop for 48 hours straight, allow that person to do other things even while spending time with you. Usually, if you're on a date with someone, you have a limited time that you're on that date. So it is better to just pay attention to the person that you're with instead of paying attention to your phone. But if you're spending an extended period of time together, I think it's okay for people to also be on their phones or do other tasks while they spend time with you. It's a little absurd to demand that someone gives you their undivided attention for days straight. And honestly, that behavior does come off as a bit controlling. Now, Clinton says that it is a big trigger for him because his mom was always super neglectful to him. And when they would be having dinner together, she would constantly be on her phone or just not paying any attention to him. So for Brooke to be having dinner with him and pick up her phone was very triggering for him. And it reminds him of when he was younger with his mom, which is again understandable. And everyone has their own traumas and triggers. And it's really good and important that we understand and identify our own traumas and triggers. But as we unpack more of this story, you'll understand how batshit crazy that is for him to ask of her and even start a fight about. And Brooke does say that it turned into a huge fight.
So we just had our first major blowout fight, all right? And this is when I first found out like how he behaves in an argument, which was like a child. Like literally you could not talk any sense into him. It was so irrational, and it was just like you could not get through to him. There was no like compromise. It was like you just had to apologize even though he was so unbelievably wrong every single time. Oh my God, it was infuriating.
Brooke says most of their arguments were around how Brooke reminds him so much of his mother, who was horrible to him. how she triggers him just like his mother did, and she could do no right because she was basically a copy of his mother. Through all of this, Brooke is trying to be so understanding towards Clinton because she understands the amount of trauma he experienced, especially with him losing 3 family members in 1 year. But she did feel like she had to mother him and walk on eggshells around him to avoid getting into big arguments over everything, which is another red flag. There is a difference between compromise and control. Compromise is, before I leave to hang out with my friends, let's spend some time together. And then when I get back, let's also spend some time together. Control is, you can't go out with your friends. And if I do let you go out with your friends, I'm going to be messaging you 24/7 and blowing up your phone because I want you to be here. After their trip, Brooke and Clinton are still together, and they don't spend much time apart, even though they are in a long-distance relationship. Brooke is either visiting him at his house or he's visiting her, but they are always together. Clinton, at this point, is getting ready to drop his next album, which is mostly about him losing his family members. So he goes on a press run and starts promoting the album by going on different interviews and podcasts to talk about it. He ends up going on one of his good friend's shows, the Zach Sang Show. Now, Zach is a very good friend to Brooke and Clinton, and he just also happens to be a really popular podcaster slash interviewer. During this interview, Clinton is giving all the details about his family, attending their funerals, how he was dealing with the emotions of losing them, and how he's moving on. At the time the interview came out, everyone thought it was a really good interview. After Clinton finished with his interview, he and Brooke go back to their Airbnb, and she ends up making a TikTok of the two of them and posting it. After she posted it, she was then flooded by a bunch of messages from other women, kind of warning her about Clinton. She discovers that Clinton actually ended up cheating on his ex-girlfriend with over 15 other women. And when she asked Clinton about this, he admits it. And get this, Brooke was actually one of the women that he was cheating, or at least trying to cheat, on his ex with.
He was cheating on her the whole time, all right? And what I realized when I really looked into it is I was one of the girls. Because, like I said, he has been messaging me constantly for the last year, like literally sliding up on every single story I post, trying to fly me out. When he tried to fly me out to dinner that time, they were actively in a relationship.
Brooke then says that Clinton somehow explained everything to her. He had a lot of excuses and really promised that he would never cheat on anyone else. He said that he was so far removed from that relationship before it ended, so he really didn't even see it as cheating. They continue to date from there, but the very next day after all of this cheating information came out, Brooke and Clinton are laying in bed together while Clinton is on the phone with his manager. Now, Brooke says that he was begging his manager to get the Zach Sang interview deleted. He did not want it up anymore, and Brooke really didn't understand why. Brooke had not seen the interview because the previous night they were just fighting. Brooke immediately pulls up the interview and starts reading through some of the comments.
I hadn't seen the interview yet, but Zach's one of our best friends. I was like, what could possibly be in this interview that is so bad that he wants it off the internet? But, Clinton's telling his manager, I don't care, just get it down. So in bed next to him, I get on my little phone, and I go to the interview and I start to read the comments. And in the comments, I see someone write, "This is really strange. I don't know where this Australian accent came from. He is not Australian. He is from Brunei. I grew up with him. I went to school with him. And I saw his mom last week."
So if you're not keeping track, let me help you. This man has now turned out to be controlling, is isolating Brooke from her friends and family, lied about his age, has cheated with multiple women in the past, including Brooke, and is now not from Australia, faking an Australian accent, and has killed off his entire family, allegedly. Which is just what? That is so much. Honestly, I think I would be beside myself because who are you? Who's in my bed? Who am I laying beside? Get out of there, girl. Run. And that is exactly what Brooke did. She immediately starts to pick a fight with him over the cheating allegations from the previous night. But she really just used that as an excuse so that she could get out of there. As soon as she gets home, she starts Googling everything that this man has ever told her, including the name of his mother. She finds 2 Facebook accounts belonging to his mother.
And I look up his mother, okay, which I've never done before. She has a very specific name, all right? And I looked her up on Facebook. She has 2 accounts, okay? And on neither of them has she posted since the date that she was supposed to have died. So in my head, I'm like, okay, it's possible she's dead. But it's also possible that she is not.
Clinton has shared so much of his life with Brooke that when she started looking into his mother's Facebook accounts, a lot of the things were not making sense. He said his mother was a blonde Norwegian woman, but she was Asian. He said he was Australian with an accent, but his mother was from Brunei, where Clinton was also born. Obviously, for anyone in Brooke's situation, they would be devastated. I don't even know if that covers all the feelings and the betrayal she experienced. Now, if you couldn't already tell, Brooke had some issues at this point in her life, and she even makes it a point throughout her videos where she talks about how much she's grown and changed and how at the time she was not medicated for her mental health, but now is.
Now, obviously, we broke up 2 years ago, okay? And that was a very, very different time in my life. I was, first of all, unmedicated, okay? And that is a very, very important factor in this story because I get so many comments that are like, Brooke, what on earth were you going through? And I agree. I really don't know. That was a different girl.
But clearly we can see through her actions that at the time she was not paying attention to the red flags. She was attracted to toxic behavior, and she was in a codependent relationship with someone who seemed to be a pathological liar. Brooke says that even after finding out all of this, she still loved him and wanted to be with him, but she needed to first ask him if there was anything that he wanted to come clean about. Clinton then decides to be honest for the first time.
I did text him and I said, listen to me. I'm going to give you the opportunity right now to tell me if there's anything that you've lied to me about at all. And he racked his brain for all of 5 minutes before he told me I had lied about my age. I am 22 years old. All that, and the only thing he wanted to admit to was that he lied about his age.
So the next day, Brooke goes over to his place to confront him about everything she found out. Once she confronted him, Clinton made Brooke feel horrible for ever doubting that his mother actually didn't pass away. And because she had no actual proof, she did feel bad for bringing up the possibility that he could be lying about something that serious. And guess what? She ended up staying with him. Ugh, I know. Brooke, girl, what is good? But I'm also very empathetic towards her because when someone is playing with your sense of reality, it is very difficult to know what is real and what isn't. From this point on in their relationship, things are just getting worse and worse between them.
But I still had my doubts, okay? Now all of a sudden I'm watching him differently. Every single thing that he says I just assume is a lie. And we're fighting constantly about everything. I remember one night he literally started hysterically sobbing because I said, as a joke, that Kid Rock was hot.
Eventually, Brooke does find out that Clinton is cheating on her with a number of women. And at this point, they actually do break up. But here's the kicker. He broke up with Brooke. Yeah, he dumped Brooke because he could not stand the fact that she would accuse him of cheating. As they were breaking up, they were on the phone together, and Brooke is just sobbing. She keeps asking him how he could do this to her. He's denying everything, and they're just going back and forth. She then decides to ask him, why did you lie about your entire family dying? Which he still denies at this point. Clinton is really sticking to his story about his family dying until Brooke says this.
And I then tell him, I've been talking to your mother. I had not been talking to his mother, but that got him. He finally admitted that he did, in fact, fake the death of his mom and his brother. His dad is dead. Not that that's a good thing, but there's 1 out of 3 that are dead.
Wild. I know. Insane. Crazy. Like, who does that and why? Now, that was the end of Brooke's 14-piece tell-all, but the drama does not stop there because Clinton's team needed to do some damage control. He obviously doesn't want to be known as a liar and have his fans doubt who he is and the music that he makes. So his team decides to release a statement to Rolling Stone's Australia. to give his side of the story. The article says, following a series of TikToks from YouTuber Brooke Schofield that blasted Clinton Kane for being a master manipulator and lying about his mother's death, the singer is now denying her accusations. He claims that he had been referencing the death of a mother-like figure all along. In Thursday's statement, the rep says that the mother he referred to in his interview with Sang was actually a very special mother-like figure in his teenage years, who sadly passed, not his biological mother, as was assumed. The statement from the rep did not address any other details of Schofield described. I think they mean that Schofield described. I don't know. Clinton regrets the way this devastating news was communicated at the time, reads the statement. Clinton genuinely felt that he had lost an irreplaceable mother figure. Clinton was, and largely is, estranged from his immediate family. The public rehashing of these details is only an attempt to bring attention and focus on Brooke's podcast, at the expense of tearing down another former boyfriend, a tactic she's become known for, read the statement from Kane's rep. In the years since their relationship took place, Clinton has moved forward and remains focused and committed to putting out new music. Of course, Brooke did address the statement his team put out, and she basically says that she knew he was not referring to a mother-like figure because of the amount of details Clinton shared with her during their relationship together. And in response to Brooke trying to use Clinton for clout, she had this to say.
If they had done any research at all, they would know that the canceled podcast listeners have known this lore all along, okay? I brought this to my TikTok audience for one reason and one reason only, okay? It is because that man called me a yapper. I mean this in the most humble way possible, truly. Like, I really, truly do. Canceled amasses more listeners in one singular week than Clinton Kane has in an entire year. I'm sorry. This article was published in Rolling Stone. Okay? Rolling Stone, who actually reached out to me in 2023, all right? Several times. We were already publishing a story on Clinton, okay? It was already a thing. People knew about it, okay? Ultimately, I decided I wanted no involvement. As you can see here, I feared for his mental health, okay? I didn't want anything to do with that because I couldn't do it in good conscience. They even offered to let me do it anonymously, and I ghosted them, okay? So please, Clinton's publicist, if you exist and if you are listening, please help that man. I have nothing to gain. I'm embarrassing myself.
So, of course, this all could just be a he said, she said situation, and maybe Clinton was really referring to a mother-like figure that did pass away. But it's looking like that's just not true. Clinton has done many interviews before, and I think his team might have forgot that he's made previous statements about his mother who passed away. In one interview Clinton did with the Grammys, where he opened up about his hit song, Chicken Tendies, which people assumed was about a previous romantic relationship and saying goodbye to a love that you once had, Clinton revealed that the song was actually about the strained relationship with his mother. The interview says, Kane acknowledges that the relationship with his mother was always a bit strained. He didn't go into too much detail during our chat, but did reveal that maybe someday it'll all be okay tracks, Chicken Tendies, and I Wish I Could Hate You for Breaking Me and Calling It Love are about their relationship, not a romantic relationship, as the narratives may insinuate. When I ask if there are any other songs with unexpected meanings, he gives yet another droll response. Everything else is just about women. The article goes into more detail about how Clinton was struggling with being biracial as he was growing up and traveling around the world, moving every 3 years. On top of his family problems, Kane moved to a different country every 3 years, attending 20 different schools throughout his childhood. His biracial background, his mother was Norwegian and father Filipino, plus he had a slight Australian accent because of his Perth origins, didn't help with trying to fit in. So, yeah, it's pretty clear from this article that Clinton was talking about a strained relationship he had with his biological mother, who is supposedly this blonde Norwegian woman, which wouldn't make any sense with what he's claiming now, that the mother he has always been speaking about was not his biological mother, but, as he said, a very special mother-like figure in his teenage years who sadly passed. But in all of his interviews, he only talks about one mother. There's not another mother that he talks about that he has a good relationship with.
Your mom passed?
Yeah.
Your brother passed?
Mm-hmm.
And your dad passed?
1 year, yeah. Yeah, it was a lot. Chicken Tendies is actually about losing my mom. and I had a talk with my publicist about explaining how to explain, because I wasn't ready to talk about it yet last year, about like losing my mom. But she passed away like 2-3 weeks after the song came out, after Chicken Tendies came out. That's why like I had to take a break, and there was like a lot of start and stopping. But that song was actually about losing my mom. But my publicist and I found a way to like make it seem real enough, because it's still real, like losing her to religion. But I have.
You did kind of lose her before she was gone, right? Because you didn't have much of a relationship with her.
No, it was all gone. But it was already complicated before, so there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah.
And babes, this is why we don't lie. When you lie so much about your life and the things you've done, it's hard to keep up with everything you've ever said. None of this information makes sense with the ways that Clinton has talked about his mother before Brooke exposed him and after she exposed him. Clinton has always stated he had a not so great relationship with his mother, who passed away. But now that there's proof that his mother is alive, it turns out that he was actually talking about a special mother-like figure who he also had an estranged relationship with. Or what? Like, make it make sense. Clinton also talked about Chicken Tendies being about the relationship with his mother and losing her to religion.
Who is Chicken Tendies about?
About my mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy that really your certifiable biggest song is not about
A girl.
some fleeting relationship.
Yeah, no, it's about my mom.
Gosh.
A fleeting relationship about my mom. So it's kind of the.
Do you think we consider that a on and off, wishy-washy, not consistent relationship?
Yeah. Yeah.
By who's? Is it your fault? Her fault?
Her
Mutual?
fault.
Really?
Her own thing, yeah. She's just like, she was a pastor, you know, every day she lived by like, like pray to God and everything, every worry you have in life and every negative thing, just leave on to God and blah, blah, blah. And she got like so engulfed in like following God that me and my two brothers, like.
You can't talk to her.
Yeah, no.
I couldn't find any clips of Clinton speaking about his mother in a positive way before these rumors about his mother not actually passing away started. So if his team's response is to say that the mother he was speaking about in the Zach Sang interview is a mother-like figure that he actually had a great relationship with, why has he not mentioned this great mother-like figure until people started to doubt if he was lying about his mother passing? When Brooke first started dropping hints about Clinton being a liar and lying about the passing of his mother, he wrote this letter and posted it to his Instagram. Pause to read the letter. But it basically is him saying that he has been estranged from his biological mother for years now, and that the woman he has been talking about in all of his interviews is a mother-like figure that he has an amazing relationship with. Again, none of this makes sense considering every interview he has done talking about his mother that passed involved him talking about how bad their relationship was and how he even lost her to religion before losing her to death. How can she both be the best and the worst mother? Also, his team has not even touched the other allegations about him lying about the passing of his brother, and both of his brothers are very much alive. It just seems like the mother lie was the more important lie to cover because he has talked so publicly about multiple of his songs being about losing his mom. It is obvious that Clinton's team is doing extreme damage control now. And I know that I said earlier that Clinton's career was on the line and that it's ruined, but let's be for real. This will not affect him at all musically. He will still have fans and even relationships. And there will be a lot of people that choose to believe him because of the connections they've built with him already. I also don't think people should hate him or stop listening to his music because of this situation. There is no denying that he is a talented young man, and if you have found healing and support through his music, don't let his lies ruin that for you. But it is important to know that this person is playing into a lot of heavy emotions to create a parasocial relationship with his fans. If I had been a big fan of Clinton's music and then discovered he was lying about the majority of his life, I don't think I would stop listening to his music, but I would be very careful with how much I interact or engage with him as an artist. I would be very careful about how much I believe from him because he is known to lie. And not only lie, but in all of the interviews that I've read or watched with him, he heavily relies on this narrative that he lost 3 family members in 1 year and how it was so devastating to him. He relies on this narrative that him and his mom have been estranged and have had a really hard relationship. And now people are wondering what part of that is true or not. And remember, every artist out there, even the ones that genuinely are connected to their music and even care about their audience more so than the typical artist does. At the end of the day, they are interested in making money. They want to profit off of you and sell something to you. So we should always be cautious and we should always be careful. And hey, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. But that's just me. And of course, everyone's going to have different ways of looking at this kind of situation. Clinton obviously does have a lot of issues because a healthy, regulated person doesn't kill off members of their family to gain sympathy. And maybe some people feel that he does need support, especially at this time. And I do agree. I do think that he needs support. But I think that that support needs to be professional support, professional help, and not someone just streaming his music to fill his pockets. I'll let us wrap this up with what Brooke had to say at the end of her video.
Apparently his new song comes out on Friday, and the man will do anything to get a stream. So honestly, you guys, do him a service. He needs money for therapy. And if you take nothing else away from this story, just know that treating underlying mental health conditions is very important, because had I known what was wrong with me, I would have never gone near that man to begin with.
Anyways, tell me what you think about this situation in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you made it to the end, and subscribe if you're not. See you in the next video. Love you. Bye.